Just last week, Apple released a heap of new titles to Apple Arcade, giving iPhone and iPad users who are yet to check out the service another reason to do so. But is the gaming subscription service worth it at $7.99 a month? Yes, definitely. But there are a couple of catches. G'day, you're watching Tech Finder. As always, there are plenty of links down in the description if you want to know more about Apple Arcade. If you want to keep up to date on tech and gaming in general, well, consider subscribing because we have new videos coming out every week. When I say mobile gaming, what do you think of? I think a lot of us think of microtransactions, timers, ads, unwelcome notifications. For a lot of people, mobile gaming has kind of been written off as a cesspool of crap games, and most of us have just written it off completely. It's a real shame because a lot of really good and creative mobile games have been made over the years. Unfortunately, they're just not the type of games that make it to the top of the charts and get put in front of users' eyes when they're looking for a new game to play. And it means a lot of really talented developers and the games they've made don't really get the attention that they deserve. Apple Arcade is Apple's response to this problem. It's a game subscription service that allows users to download from a library of over 180 games, all of which are more akin to indie console titles. They all feel like polished and complete packages with distinct art styles and gameplay. Apple have invested millions of dollars into many of these titles too, ensuring the developers have enough time and resources to make games that really showcase how good the iPhone and iPad are at gaming now. The biggest trade-off is that some of these games are only accessible through Apple Arcade. More on that soon. At its core, for $7.99 a month, you are getting over 180 premium mobile games with no ads and no microtransactions for all of your iOS devices. The question here is, are the games good enough to make it worth it? Yes, there are some truly great games on here. In fact, I've found some of my favorites of all time on Apple Arcade. I'm going to give you a quick rundown now, but please hit subscribe if you want to know what my top 5 games on Apple Arcade are. I've played a lot of stuff on this service and there are a lot of good games to talk about. So please hit subscribe if you're interested in knowing exactly what you should download if you pick up Apple Arcade. The first thing you may notice when flicking through the current lineup is how kid-friendly it all looks. There's nothing overly violent, sexual, or controversial in any way. It's all pretty bright and colourful, and it's full of really cool ideas that don't involve shooting stuff. I actually see this as a really good thing. If you're the sort of parent who's worrying about what your child is downloading on your or their phone, well, this kind of solves that problem a little bit. It's a really well-curated space to let them explore and download whatever they want without the fear of unsuitable content or accidental credit card charges. If you're an adult looking to pick up this service and you're not solely focused on playing big cinematic blockbuster games, shooting games, or fighting games, I feel pretty confident saying there's something for everyone here. There's sports games, racing, role-playing games, lots of puzzlers, lots of interactive novels, and if you're an old school iPhone 4 gamer like me, there's even some throwback stuff like Fruit Ninja. Now, you'll certainly find titles that either let you down or aren't as good as you first thought they would be, but that's kind of the beauty of subscription services. You can download those games, play them, decide they're not very good, and then go download something else, and it doesn't cost you any extra money. From my experience on Apple Arcade, there certainly aren't any terrible games, but there are games that probably won't keep that many people occupied for very long. But that's fine. The next game that you download might be one of your new favorite games of all time. And that actually kind of leads me into a few of the cons here. The first con is the full list of available titles don't update a whole lot. Last week, Apple dropped a big new batch of titles, which is why I'm so excited about the platform today. But if we scroll down through the list of new titles, it's been pretty slow going, with only a couple of new games every month for most of its lifespan. This is not a huge issue for new subscribers because you've got this whole back catalogue to go through and play, but once you've gone through and found what you like, you're not really paying for a service that gives you new games every month. You're actually just paying for the privilege to play the games you enjoyed. And that actually leads me to the second con. You can't buy a lot of these games separately from Apple Arcade. They're exclusive. If you do find that new favorite game that you love and want to keep playing it, you have to pay up every month. This kind of model is fine if you're the sort of person who picks up a game, finishes it really quickly, and then moves on to the next one. But if you're like me and become obsessed with arcade-style games for months where they never really end and you just want to get that little bit better, you're going to end up paying a lot more for a game that would normally only cost $5 to $10 standalone. I would at least like the option to buy Apple Arcade games that I really like, so I don't have to keep paying for the service, but I do understand why that's not a thing. As an example, I have Mini Metro by Dino Polo Club on my Android phone, and I've had it on my last 3. Basically, I've made sure I've had access to it since I paid my $5 in 2016. I definitely don't play that often anymore, but every few months I get that itch and I can just pull out my phone and start playing it when I'm bored. Because it's always been there in my pocket, it's one of my most cherished games of all time. Dino Polo Club's second game, Mini Motorways, is, for now, exclusive to Apple Arcade, and although I love it as much as their first game, I'm not able to just play it whenever I want. I have to pay another $7.99 to resubscribe to Apple Arcade first. So Mini Motorways probably won't ever be as important to me as Mini Metro, even though I kind of wish it could be. Essentially, you're just renting games from Apple rather than owning them. Once you've gone through the back catalogue and found the games you want to play over and over again, you may find yourself just wishing you could buy the damn things. The third con applies a bit broader to games as a service overall. It's a weird concept to me, especially as someone who used to collect old video games and old consoles as a hobby. I still have my 20-year-old GameCube with all my favourite games sitting meters behind me at all times, and if I wanted to, I could just plug that straight into a TV and start playing them all over again. And that's from a $200 purchase that I made when I was in primary school using my pocket money from doing the dishes every night. I saved hard and bought that thing. What an investment. With games as a subscription service, that same $200 will give you 2 years and 1 month of Apple Arcade. Over those 2 years, you could play over 180 games, and you may even find a couple that you cherish as some of your favorite games of all time. But the trade-off is this: those games that you came to love and cherish, you have to keep paying for the privilege to use those titles. They won't be sitting behind you in 20 years' time. For some of them, eventually they might get taken off the App Store and you just won't be able to play them anymore. Maybe I'm just becoming old-fashioned. I feel like as we have more and more games available to us, they become a bit more disposable and we don't have to focus on playing 1 or 2 of them. But I do feel like if this is something you value and you want to spend your money on tangible things, it is worth considering before you sign up to a subscription service like this. So with that said, is Apple Arcade worth it? Yes, definitely. There are so many good mobile games on offer in this service that I just want people to try it out so they can at least restore their faith in mobile gaming a little bit. If you care about that sort of thing, definitely give Apple Arcade a shot. If you're just here to maximize your cold hard cash, let's look at some maths. If you were signed up to Apple Arcade over a year, you'd have spent $95.88 on playing iOS games. Say you played and enjoyed 2 of those games regularly per month. If you're the kind of person who loves a game and leaves it, you've got an enjoyment out of 24 games for under $100, or about $4 a pop, which is roughly how much a decent iPhone game costs anyway. That's well worth it in my opinion, especially because of the nature of subscription services. You can try out a bunch of games and find the ones that you really like. Once you play through the stuff you like, cut the subscription and come back in a year or 2 once there's more titles available. I've done just that twice now. I unsubscribed back in October, and when I read the news that there were 30 new games being added to the service, I resubscribed, and now here I am telling you about it. I'll probably keep the subscription for a couple of months, play everything I want, and then unsubscribe again. It's the people that get overly attached to games that I'd say this isn't worth it for. If, for example, you're just playing Mini Motorways for a year, you've spent $95.88 on a single mobile game, and it will only keep going up. In my opinion, it's not really that worth it to keep paying to access only 1 or 2 mobile games. Overall, I would say get the free trial if you haven't already, download as many games as possible, try them all out, pick a few that you like, play through them, and then see if you want to keep the service ticking over as the months go on. Just be aware you are renting these games, and if you really want to maximize that $7.99, make sure you are getting at least 2 games worth of enjoyment out of the service every month. So that's Apple Arcade. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please throw us a like if this helped you decide whether you wanted to get into it or not. If you have already gotten into Apple Arcade, let us know what games you've been playing on there. Maybe there's a hidden gem that we don't know about. Let us know in the comments. If you want to know the top 5 games that I think that you should be playing on Apple Arcade, please do hit subscribe because a video about that is coming out very soon. I have strong opinions on this, so it's well worth a watch. Hit subscribe for that. And until next time, I will see you next time. Terrible outro. Goodbye.